Tired.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's just liquor. All right, was it the transformer?
Yeah, I guess they had problems with, it took something else out.
We're ready.
We're ready?
Yep.
Don, you ready? All right, December 18th, 2024, 7:01 PM. I would like to call the regular Town of Allentown Commission meeting to order. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Members present, Scott Davidson.
Pat Ray, we got five.
Steve.
All right, and we'll see Juliet this evening. We won't have a full board. We'll go old business, and we need to go back into the public hearing. Someone needs to open the public hearing back up.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for 80 Preston City Road, Mr. St. Steve, public hearing for a special permit application for a 4-unit multi-family.
I'll second that. Got a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
You'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. You want to present your new print, please?
Right, we changed the parking lot, the parking spot. Labeled as P4. It used to be tipped more like this and slid over this way, over to the right. I believe one of the commission members made that suggestion. We've got plantings both along the front. Now these are concrete flower pots, if you will. They're pretty heavy. You know, they're 800 pounds, so they're not gonna walk away at night. We're gonna put seagrass in the front of those. Easier to keep down. If we put a tree there, it might get out of hand. The trees we put around the Church Street border. 3 along the opposite side of Church Street. And basically that was so that the obvious people might want to cut through. That can happen. The lighting situation was we added one more light. They're full, again, all 3 lights that are on the building. One that we added, which is the middle one over the stairs, are all full cutoffs. So they should provide plenty of light for the stairs and the deck. Yeah, they shouldn't spill over into the neighbors. I believe that was the only changes. Oh, I'm sorry. We did add curb stops along the property line adjacent to the post office. That's to stop any cars from leaving the premises.
Allowing them to get out of the car.
Correct, yes. Mhm.
And everybody saw the letter that came. Okay. Mr. Johnson. And you're gonna put that into the section. Thank you.
Did a nice job addressing our comments from last time.
Well, I mean, if you read this, and I kind of agree with him. Well, before we get into that, but is there anybody from the
Was
audience?
there anything about the fence on that? I didn't hear him talk about a fence.
Correct. He did not, in this letter.
Well, could you read the letter and then I'll make a comment to it?
This letter is to inform the commission that I am the owner of the Vollentown Post Office building, that I am not against the project if the new owner does an A2 survey because the previous owner, which was Mr. Fleming filled his parking lot and the gravel and covered the markers. Pushed gravel over the property line markers. Also a chain link fence between the post office parking lot and his property parking lot to keep his tenants on his side. I tend to agree with him.
The only thing is if there's a fence there, then the person parking there can't.
Well, that's not his problem.
No, but if we could figure out
And,
another
I mean-
solution to keep the cars off of it, that would solve that issue.
Here's the other thing is the snow will end up on his property. So I mean, realistically, they're gonna be using 3 feet of that property. And it's gonna keep debris, trash on the tenant's property, not on the adjacent property. Which if there was room for plantings, would do the same thing as a fence. The only reason we requested a fence was due to the lack of space.
But plantings are a possibility.
Would take away his parking spot. Anybody else have any?
Yes, I have a comment. What I really don't understand is a person buys a piece of property and the map that I submitted at the last meeting actually shows a survey that was done back in 1985. Now, the new owner buys the property. The previous owner, he destroyed the markers that was between the two properties. And he had a backhoe that he used to go in there weekends and he done a lot of work there that he shouldn't have done, that was encroaching on other people's property. So now, the new owners, I don't have an objection to what he's doing, but the line has to be established between the two properties, between the postal property and his property. Because I'm not gonna be taking comments from the postal people that we got cars parked in the gravel area, or the trucks can't get in and out because it's a problem. So the only way to resolve this is to have that line reestablished between the two properties. That's between the postal property and his property. And the only way to do that is to have a surveyor reestablish those markers. And then put up a chain link fence so that in the course of the construction that goes on, they're not going back and forth and parking vehicles, or you got materials parking, or whatever it is. They have to keep their activity on their own property, not on somebody else's, because I'm gonna be getting calls. And this is the reason why you have a public hearing, is to address these issues. And the big concern is here that right now there's just open space and nobody really knows where the line is, because the line has been destroyed. So if you request for this A2 survey to be reestablished, a line and put a chain link fence up before the construction starts, there won't be any problems. But he'll be on his property and the postal people will be on their property. And if they want to bring their trucks in or whatever that they want to do, they're leasing the property. And they have the right to use that property, not be obstructed with cars parking or construction materials going on. So board over here should realize that we're not trying to cause trouble, but we're just trying to establish the difference between the two properties. And I don't see that to be a request that's, extraordinary. So if you have any other questions, I'll see if I can answer them for you.
I just wonder what's gonna prevent, even if there is a chain link fence here, what's gonna prevent somebody from parking here anyway and walking around? You know,
Well,
they're gonna park.
if the chain link fence goes from this corner here
Yeah.
out to the road,
Yeah.
then
That's an enforcement
Yeah,
matter.
that's an
Oh, that's what I'm
enforcement.
saying, so,
Yeah.
but
the what?
I still think it's gonna have the same issue.
I agree, but at least it's very evident where that is, where that line is. And then he can deal with, it becomes a civil thing at that point.
Wheel stops.
Yeah, because we put the sidewalk in up until this point here, and it's pretty well parallel where there's ever. Now, right now, there's materials parked here, there's a dumpster, I mean, this is an open area, so if there's nothing put up here, they're gonna be using this back and forth until they get all done. And then I'm gonna have calls coming in that they got stuff parked here. That's gonna be a nightmare. I don't know what else you wanna know about it, but
Mr. Chair?
that's not asking too much to reestablish that line and put a chain link fence up to keep the two properties separated.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though that it's coming in,
Just what?
that you're just now asking for it. I mean, the man's.
You had a public
waiting.
hearing over here last
I
week,
know.
last month, and
I don't remember anything said about,
Hmm?
I don't remember anything said about another survey, that you wanted another survey.
We
That
can
could-
still approve it with
Yeah, that could
an
be
A2C.
conditioned.
I'm not worried about that. No.
No, I
John?
heard John said.
Yeah, so I had read this request also, and I agree that delineation of the property line is important, and would recommend that if this commission is inclined to approve, that they include a condition of approval that would require the applicant to delineate the property line. However, installation of a fence, therefore sort of defending one's own property. In this case, if Mr. Johnson wants to defend his property, he can put up the fence. But I think delineating the line is, should happen.
My question
I
was,
feel like
you buy a piece of
Isn't the
property,
line-
you have to put up a fence every time.
That's what that line would be. Seems like where it's like, seems
So-
like that's not the official line.
I guess the problem is right now they put material, they put stuff on, but it really is that side of the property.
Mr. Dutch, could you stake out the line right now?
Of course, yes. Yes, and we're more than willing to do that. Make sure the curb stops you in the right spot. If you're right up against the line, we can go over them just like we wouldn't be able to go over the fence. No more of a barrier for a vehicle than, the fence is no more of a barrier than the curb stops.
And then the other owner could decide whether or not to put it. Still an issue, or ain't an issue, or maybe it won't be an issue.
So my question would be, why is, I see the 3 curb stops, but why was there one not between the first curb stop and the walkway, and one between the last curb stop and your corner? So like, there's not one here and there's not one here.
Well, we spaced them, we want to minimize them, they're not free. So we try to keep it so that a vehicle can't go between.
I understand that, but so a vehicle can still travel through here, and a vehicle could still back through here, travel through here. If this,
If another curb stop will make the commission happy, to then put.
or if this one went down and they got, 4 got done along here. So a car can't go through here or here.
I guess the property, north of the property line, this is a right of way area.
The top one is at the
See that?
property line.
This line
Yeah.
is the post
Wait a
office.
sec, there is the post office, but it's not his property.
No,
They could still cross, because his property line goes out another 6 feet. Yeah, probably 10 feet because it's here.
It says 10. So you want it here, here, here.
What? That's
It's a right of
a
way.
whole nother,
It's like a road right. A little bizarre, but I don't know who created this
State
property
did
in
that.
its configuration, but
yeah, so I mean, this is 20 feet here. Granted, that's the right of way, but I mean, it
They
would
could
keep
put
somebody
anything there.
from.
Yeah, no problem with another curb stop.
Does anybody else from the public have anything to say? Just following you the last chance to speak.
Public comment. Obviously, it's a contentious building to begin with, and 30 years ago, regulations, and I mentioned last meeting, the chairman of the board mentioned that regulations were put in place to prohibit the use of this building. And that did a fundamental directory change of the purpose of the building 30 years ago. So I think a precedent would be set today if regulations 30 years ago are erased and things are allowed time now, that someone can do something with the building and that those changes are allowed, or something to do what they want to do with the building now, when 30 years ago you couldn't do things with the building. It was never allowed for family usage 30 years ago. It was asked and it was denied. It's precedent will be set.
The regulation was already changed to allow it,
Correct.
so that precedent there.
Yeah, that was changed a year and a half ago.
Right. 28 years ago, 20 years later. Right.
Yeah.
So that would change what
Market trends.
could have happened to the property time now, or that.
So I'm sorry, I missed part of that point. Was the point basically that things shouldn't change? Was that the?
No, it's just, the point was, in the history, it was prohibited, and it's almost not fair that it's allowed now, when 30 years ago, it was denied to do a zoning change. That gets us back to the late, 80s, 90s.
So that would have been taken up in the public hearing that we held within that zoning change, but I mean,
Correct.
zoning regs do change.
Correct. Great.
Thank you. So in your name?
Stephen Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
Russell Hyde.
Oh,
I think this has got to come to fruition. And certainly with the barriers or the line being buried and so forth and moved, that does bring up an issue. But I don't see any reason in the world that this should be worked out, because that's going to be an economic generator. The demand for housing is at an all-time high. And yes, mistakes have been made. Mistakes will probably continue to be made. But I would say you gotta work this out. I don't believe this gentleman put stuff on it, not knowing where the line was, because it has been buried probably a number of times.
yeah, I had to search for that too.
The problem that exists on the front there, that was done years ago when the state highway put the new road through. And there's enough rundown houses on that road as it is. There's one abandoned and a couple others that are a mess. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you. Last call? Okay.
Son just made a mention that the leaching field from the existing septic system is beyond the limits of that property line. But according to the plan that's been submitted, they're going to install a new system, and that old one gets disregarded.
That's my understanding.
Are they gonna dig up the old system that's in the gravel parking lot, or just leave it there?
Usually they get left.
It's up to the health,
Well, yeah, I mean,
on the top, whatever their rules are.
usually they get left.
I mean, they will approve this or have approved this. I don't know where you are in that process.
They have.
They have, yeah, I think we had a letter last month. Do you have any other comments?
There might be one more.
Okay. yeah.
the applicant have any? For both?
I'm up by 2%.
So I have a question, procedural question. So there's nobody on Zoom that's a voting member. We have,
No, the voting members are all here. That's the town planner.
Well, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Well, I mean, you guys are all good?
Yeah, just the last comment was, it was mentioned at the last meeting, discussion of the fence and property line was mentioned. I think I spoke to you about it. But it was discussed at the last meeting.
It was,
Yeah,
I mean, we did discuss it.
Correct, yeah, so the Queens Way and Center, it was discussed last meeting. Wasn't like snuck in at the last second.
No, I was talking about the survey,
Correct, that was mentioned.
a new survey.
A survey, yes. I got,
I missed
looked you
it.
in the eye and you said yes. It should be, I said yes or no, and you said yes. Meetings before that.
I think the applicant has agreed to stake out that line, you know, establish this line. One way,
yes,
and put curb stops along it.
Right, so you made a
Yeah,
motion.
I still make a motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, public hearing is officially closed. Can somebody make a motion back to the regular meeting, please?
Make a motion to return back to the, I don't know, do
2018,
we need that means?
December 18th.
Meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, motion carries. All right. Subdivision regs. Can we table that, please? Thank you. Or move it to the later part of the agenda. All right. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the November 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right.
Do we get to deliberate on that one? Tonight?
It's not on there. Someone needs to make a motion to add that, please, because that's not on there either.
So I make, where do we put it?
It's, next is additions to agenda, so somebody needs to make a motion.
I make a motion to add, discussion or deliberation for application of 80 Crescent City Road, which is 18, for the special permit for 4-unit multi-family home.
Thank you.
Was that, I'm sorry, the agenda I was looking at, it had that under old business. Did that
Old
not?
business, but they didn't have, it's fine. It shouldn't have said old business up there. It should have been.
We could just
Oh, okay. So it should be under
I
public
was-
hearing
I
and
was
old business.
thinking
Okay,
that that was the public hearing.
Okay.
Public hearing, but
great.
since it just got redone,
Okay.
we're fine. So it's there,
right now, right?
correct? It's on there. So,
But like I said, I think they addressed the issues I had anyway, and I believe that it would be up to the.
well, and John made a very valid point that Mr. Johnson, once that line is established, if he really doesn't want anybody coming on his property, he can put a fence up.
Correct.
They are establishing that, they're trying to keep everybody on the property, but if he feels that he needs he could put a fence up on that property.
Do we have to request a survey to be done though?
I would request that we do
Yeah.
make two
So
surveys.
it's,
Well, to establish that line.
For the boundary, for the, you know, his western boundary line.
And the applicant actually agreed to that in the discussion, so
Yes.
you can add it to
Yeah.
the condition. but
So,
it's still
so one
obligated.
more curb stop and the A2 survey, and I see nothing that is against our rights. Actually, I had noticed, so we have one bollard at the end of parking P2. There is no curb stops for P6, 5, and 4. those can actually hit the building. Those should have curb stops as well. So with the approval, I think we need curb stops added in P6, 5, and 4. 4, 5, and 6.
Thank you, have a motion.
I know.
Geographically challenged, which boundary line is this, the
West.
That's the
western?
west. Yep.
So I can make it,
Well,
I can
hold
make
on.
a motion
Yeah.
for discussion purposes if you want.
That's fine.
So I make a motion to approve, we still have an application number for
I know.
these things? Yeah, I think it's special permit 2.
We're really deep there.
Let's call it, let's call it 2402.
Okay, yeah. Make a motion to approve application special permit 2402 for 80 Crescent City Road for the 4-unit multifamily dwelling, with the conditions that the applicant add an additional curb stop along the western property boundary, and that he also add curb stops for parking spaces P4, 5, and 6, and that the western property line be delineated to A2 standards.
All in favor?
Well.
Aye. Motion carries.
Yes, they agree.
All right.
All right, so you'll be getting a letter in the mail. Let you know of the approval. Okay, thank you, everybody. We're gonna continue along our meeting.
Thank you very much.
I'll get that signing.
Thank you.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
How we're gonna be established and be helpful.
Well, did they put that into the minutes?
We did
He's
not
not
approve of the
he's not
fence.
responsible for the fence, but the boundary's gonna be established, we can put our own fence.
Correct.
Thank you.
If I bring up boulders and put boulders on it,
He does have to put the
Curb stop.
curb
He's
stop
gotta
there.
put the curb
So
stop
those,
on his
and he's
side.
gotta add another one. Yep, so that way he can put it over here.
right, he's gonna put curb
So he's
stop
gotta put
here,
another one in space.
but along this boundary here, we
Yeah.
could put
You
boulders or a
can
fence.
do whatever you
across
want
it.
on your side.
And then if cars do overflow into here, it's an enforcement where you all have towed.
Yeah.
Cars trespassing, tickets and towed.
Yep.
And that would prevent people from parking on here and inhabiting this side.
Correct, that becomes.
That's fine.
That becomes a enforcement issue on your side.
That's fine, that's,
Yeah,
that
you
just,
put-
that
you
just
can
makes,
put up no
this is not
parking
here,
signs.
what's gonna happen is that whole gravel park with a sidewalk in front become one huge parking lot, and it would just be, and then if the mail trucks can't get in, it would just be a problem, and the fences make good neighbors.
There you go.
All right, very
Thank
good.
you, have a good day. We want to go back to subdivision regs.
Nope.
We good?
Robert.
I'm ready to get out there, so that's fine. John, we're tabling it.
John, I'm sorry, I didn't get you the rest of the comments.
All right.
Yeah, that's all right. So I will put up what we have on the screen. So Juliet, I haven't, I mean, your comments are the most extensive. So I'm
Did we
sort
just
of,
say we were tabling this?
oh, you did? Okay, it's up to you. It's, you know,
No,
whatever.
we're tabling
Beautiful
this.
beef.
We're tabling this. Thank you.
Okay.
Steve's birthday.
It's his birthday.
Lots to do tonight.
I figured if I said no, I wasn't gonna make it, there'd be like one person here too, so I was like, I'm not gonna miss it.
All right, so citizens' comments would be the next thing on the agenda. Do you have any comments to make?
No, I think he made the right thing. This gentleman put a lot of work into this, and I helped him clean that mess out. With the lines being the way they were and covered up, that's gonna happen.
Interesting part.
It's a very interesting person. Let's leave it at that.
It is an interesting process. It always has been.
Good to see it rebuilt.
All right. New business, elections of officers. Which you can't vote.
I was gonna say not it.
Yeah. So we need to make a,
I'll make a motion for Scott
Well, actually,
Right.
I'm
or
seated all
chair,
night.
president, whatever it
I think
goes.
he left it.
You were
That's fine.
seconded.
Steve second.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. Steve, you got vice chair. I make a motion for Steve's for vice
Second.
chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And do we really need a secretary? Yeah, I think Joe should do it this year.
It's just for signing, if you have to sign.
Yeah, it's always, you gotta sign it. I make a motion that.
I second that motion.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
It's good that the males get to be the secretary.
Yes.
It always is the history of zoning commissions, that if there's any woman on it,
They just
always get
automatically.
elected.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so, did you get all three of those?
Who was, chairman, first and second?
I'm chairman.
No, who made the motion?
Oh, who motion?
He
Steve and
made
Pat.
a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah.
You seconded.
Oh, Joe,
You
Joe.
seconded and vice, it was,
For him.
you and Pat, and then-
I made the motion for Joe and he seconded. Correspondence and announcements, was there anything?
I have an announcement, if you didn't get it already, or did you get it last time? You know, the law seminars that happens every other year, that used to be in Middletown, but now thankfully it's
Or,
online.
Online, yeah, the one you and I did 2 years ago.
It's a great one, though, stop. It's
Oh,
the
it
best
was
thing
awesome.
you
All day.
I went to my office and sat there.
It's very valuable, it counts as your training, but, anyway, it's coming up
It
in
did,
March.
and it did change, it did, because I did it,
They update all the
Yeah.
law, the case.
I did
laws.
it prior to COVID, and, but 2 times and it didn't really change
I've done it
much.
like 9.
This time it changed quite a bit.
It's very good though, but it does count.
How often do we have to keep
Every
training?
4 years.
Oh, so that thing's good for me for 2 more years. then.
It's valuable.
It was super valuable.
John, help me out.
How many times did you do it?
I've done it 9.
So how valuable is it?
it is a very good,
It's like you're one and done.
No, because it's a reminder.
yeah. And
The rules and stuff change, I understand that, yeah.
in terms of bang for the buck and the amount of expertise you get all at once, you really can't beat it. And you know, the commissioner training is still a thing. So yeah, and it's nice, you can, you know, sit around all day in your pajamas looking at a computer screen. That's not the worst thing in the world.
You can
No.
scroll until you hit something. Right? It's always, I always learn something. I'm a
Ours
professional
was like,
planner. and I
ours
always
was
learn
like
something.
video though, and they walked through. You couldn't just bounce around. They read out of the big, huge book and
Which is awesome. The Bible. That thing is tattered on my desk. I'm in it every single day. But anyway, I just thought it.
Thank you for that tidbit.
Yeah.
The CEO report.
Jones is on that.
Come
Can I
on.
start early?
So not a ton of new enforcement activity to report. We approved a small firearms manufacturer, like an in-house small arms manufacturer, someone basically assembling guns in their basement, on Shetucket Turnpike this week. Basically a home occupation. We've been doing enforcement
Oh, mine,
on.
he said small firearms.
Well-
I'm thinking like Winchester opened up. stuff.
Yeah, no,
I was
so
like, Jesus.
we've been doing enforcement on a couple of trailers. One of them was almost immediately successful, which is kind of rare. We got through to somebody and they moved their trailer. So cool. We're still working on at least one more of them. And, you know, unfortunately, I had a whole, discussion of the subdivision regulations to the tune of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," but you guys tabled it. So I guess I'll share that later.
Oh, but I want to hear that later.
Oh,
So that's all I have. It's been a pretty quiet month.
okay. What I did want to do early on, but we had the public hearing, and I apologize. I read the agenda wrong, but anyways, which the public hearing wasn't in, but I did wanna, I don't know if everybody knows that Natalia Soto passed away December 1st. He was a plumber.
Oh, no.
And I guess we should take a moment of silence for him. Thank you. You know, he's definitely gonna be missed.
Is it Ellen?
Yeah, that's why he didn't run this last time, because
I worked with him a lot when I was in the regional economic development.
I think he's a very good at what he. And it was, you know, we had a town engineer on the board, you know, so it was kind of nice to caught some of the stuff, but he passed away December 1st. All right, and then, John, did you have anything in your planner report or no?
I was going to mention one thing. What the heck was it? Oh, if you're interested, the state Office of Policy and Management (OPM) has released their what should be final draft of the state's plan of conservation and development, which is a 5-year plan that they hadn't actually updated for, I don't know, something like 8 years. That is posted on the OPM website, and they're going to have a public hearing on it, I believe, January 10th. So if anyone's interested, we can send around the link to the draft state plan. But there's, you know, as far as Voluntown is concerned, there's, you know, nothing particularly earth shattering or particularly surprising. It's, you know, largely a conservation area with, you know, some focus on village center and that sort of thing, but nothing too earth shattering. And well, I should also note, with grants, we have successfully closed out both steep grants, which is the playscape behind you, and the town hall improvements. Both of those final reports went into DECD, and we approved a preliminary plan for the sidewalk improvements and the walking path around Constitution Field. And so that will be going to semifinal design, and they're going to be coordinating with wetlands. There was the big question was the length of the footbridge across Dennison Brook, you know, on Beach Pond Road, heading towards the Town Pizza Plaza. You know, basically it was a 50-foot span and a small little corner of wetlands impacts that would need that, you know, review, or a 60-foot span and no direct wetlands impacts, but something like $100,000 more. So I think we're going to roll the dice on our Wetlands Commission being okay with a little tiny corner of wetlands disturbance, and hopefully save the money.
But even though it might not impact the wetlands, it's still in the upland review area.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I mean, the whole thing is going to need to be reviewed, but you know, the question was, should we, you know, spend a little bit more a lot bit more to stay entirely out of the wetlands, or it's literally like 13 square feet or something like that. It's a very small number, but anyway, that's up to the Wetlands Commission. So that's all in progress. Oh, and I'm sorry. Well, I shouldn't. We approved some preliminary testing for public water supply systems in both the Village Center and Beach Pond area for serving Bennett Circle. So there already is a well field just to the west of Bennett Circle that's managed by Connecticut Water, and they have a pretty good easement area. And the existing wells are pretty shallow. So we're going to do some additional investigation inside the easement area for some deeper wells that will hopefully yield enough flow to serve Bennett Circle. And we don't have to get anyone's permission for it because we're within a, you know, public water supply well field area already. And then for the Village Center area, we're going to be doing some well exploration basically behind the school and public works facility on the land, basically between those properties. Like if you know, there's sort of a path where Gate Street connects to the rear to Beachdale. You know, if there's sort of a paper street that connects those two. we're going to be sort of exploring that area just to the south of the stream. So that well testing is probably going to be happening over the next couple of months.
That well testing doesn't impact the water lines of the stream at all?
If they're, I mean, we'll get, we forwarded these proposed maps to Joe Thoreau for his review. We'll try to, move in, well, actually on Gate, we'll go in from that path. There's actually a pretty established walking path back there. So yeah, it'll probably be in the upland review area. We'll try to stay out of wetlands, but it'll need Joe's review. Okay, now I think I'm done.
I'd be curious how the water's working, how shallow. Systems everywhere.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Aye.
All in